Alright, folks, this is part 2 of the Betelgeuse target. Let me have a second here. Again, set up for me by my buddy Dustin Newcomb. And the tasking is to look at what is happening with this kind of supernova thing. But also in here, it is looking for the viewer, being me, to look at how this star affects human consciousness throughout history. Well, this is even more interesting. Its effect on human consciousness throughout past history, current, and in our future. This is the element here that is really, really interesting to me. Okay, this is part 2 here of this series, because some of the things that came through in these sessions they are connecting a lot of dots for me as to what I'm being drawn to. So I'm going to be going through this session. I haven't looked through the entire thing or really studied it yet, so I'm going to be going through it now and really deeply looking at it. So here's where I start. I'm getting just some basic ideas here, like this frame here. And here's what I say. This end of it feels more like the solid nature of something, the construction of something. How it is constructed, how it was constructed, why it was constructed, and who constructed it. How was it constructed, though? I wondered. In someone's mind. A mind construct I contemplate, like a type of calculator, which kind of goes into the tasking here of mechanical processes, of what may be taking place over there. But let me get back to this. A movement game that stimulates the mind. Now, how does this relate to the tasking, though, I wonder? Precise placements and movements. It's like a game, hide and seek. That's kind of like what's going on now with that comet flying over it, kind of hide and seek. How so, though, I wonder? You look into it and see what you want to see. Yet there is a mathematical quality to it, a measurement, an angle, a dimension. How, I wonder? An optic effect on people, like an optic ray of light that goes into the brain to stimulate and or activate something. Activate what, though? I wondered. There seems to be the quote-unquote intention of finding and or retrieving memories and or events. But for what purpose, though, I wondered? A locator, a finder. Is it for memory, though? I pondered. Maybe to take, quote-unquote, your memories, take them and store them. Store them where, though, I wondered? Like an optic database. This seems to have a lot to do with the human eye. Is it stored in the object or in the human eye, though, I wondered? There seems to be a symbiotic relationship between the two. One would not be much without the other. You see what you want to see. Like you or it could become what you want it to become. How, I wondered? It's like going into a dream state, a type of hypnosis effect, a dream world effect. But you seem to be awake and able to cope. For what, though, I wondered? Like a lucid dream machine. In this state, you can do anything. approach anything, deal with anything, if you allow it to be so. A reflective mirror, a morphing face. This is very, very interesting to me. Because of the nature of what it is, the Betelgeuse, and its influence on not only our ancient cultures but our current as well. And so this element right here is very interesting here. A morphing face or a reflective mirror. Is it helpful though, I wonder? It is seen that way. But what is it for, I wondered? It's like an alternate you, like a replica, like a blink. An alternate you, I wondered. A representation of you is taken, like a snapshot. Seeing yourself like a duplicate is made. This really, really reminds me of this notion here of the keeper of the tablets of destiny, which contains the fates of gods and humanity, which is this Enlil, who is the main god of the Sumerians, in their relation to the worship of Betelgeuse. Again, to the Babylonians, Betelgeuse was associated with the god Enlil, the ruler of the heavens and earth. Enlil's presence was thought to be embodied in the star. That's where the connection is. That's why this has meaning to me from what I was experiencing here. This is what was not only interesting but important to me. Why, though, I wondered, why make a duplicate? As a changeable version, what does that even mean? This is very interesting here. A changeable version. A more elastic version. Low resistance, easy to mold and or morph, yet interlocking, like a shadow self. Which was interesting, quote-unquote shadow self. For what purpose, I wonder? This seems more psychological in nature, like astrology aspects and esoteric interpretations, which I can see in the astrology of it for the constellation. So then I had to wonder, what if it wasn't esoteric? What would it mean then? It then is up to the interpretation of those who can see it without being affected by it, a more scientific approach. What does that even mean, though, I wonder? If this is being observed through interpretation, it then becomes esoteric. If it is observed through microscope or macroscope, it takes on its more verifiable dimensions. And what are those, I wonder? Fluid dynamics, thermal dynamics, these types of things. Observations of movement, size, scale, temperature, spinning dynamics. Reminds me of the Jupiter storm. This is a very interesting session. The Jupiter storm, all these elements are in the tasking. I get, this is like an AOL of the signal here, I get that too. But so that's the more verifiable stuff. The esoteric stuff I'm very interested in here. This is what was very, very interesting to me. Especially this, the reflective mirror, and the importance of the eye. Because as I started looking through some research after getting the feedback, and I'm finding this being the most interesting thing to me here, the Babylonian connection to the star Betelgeuse in the Orion constellation, and this one right here, Enlil. And as I was saying here, where they're basically putting it into some type of recording through the eye, creating a duplicate self, reminds me of the tablets, the keeper of the tablets of destiny. So then, if I do a search and I look up, well, how was this Enlil depicted? I see these eyes. The eyes really stand out. Here. That's almost an identical interpretation. The eyes stand out. Okay, well that's pretty interesting. The other connection that I'm researching in regard to the Babylonians and the star system Betelgeuse brings me to other things that are taking place right now. We have the asteroid that's going to be passing in front of Betelgeuse between the 11th and 12th of this month. When this happens, they're saying that the Betelgeuse star is either going to fade or completely disappear for 5 to 15 seconds. Okay? Depending on where you are, either on the 11th or the 12th of December. Okay. Now, we got the connection here to Babylon. What does this connection have to do with today? This is some imagery from the Commonwealth Games that were held last year in Birmingham, England. The symbology that they had at that ceremony. Symbology of the Tower of Babel here. There's a lot of videos up there where you can see the ceremony that they did that not only included the Tower of Babel, it also included the bull, who could either be interpreted as Baal, which would be the Babylonian, or even Moloch, who they sacrificed children to. But in this ceremony for these Commonwealth Games, this is part of the ceremony, this Babylon. And the Babylon building is being destroyed, and then it is not being destroyed. You have references here, again, this was last year. All right. What are some of the significances of Babel and the Tower of Babel and Babylon? What does this woman say? She is in the ceremony. Listen to what she says.
Best friend Ellen,
her best friend L.N.
helped my mother to learn English and taught my little brothers to drive. Through the beautiful library of Birmingham, through the friends I have made, from my best friend Ellen.
L.N. Lil N. What are the odds? Or N, L, as in L from the ancient Babylonian gods as well. A la Cliff High.
A lifelong Brahmin to the families who have come here from Zimbabwe, Hong Kong, Pakistan, and beyond. Tonight, teams from 72 countries and territories.
72 countries and territories participating in the Commonwealth Games. 72. Why is that important? It's important because, according to the biblical story, the Tower of Babel, I'm just going to read this. There are several medieval historiographical accounts that make it more an enumeration of, I'm not sure that word, of the languages scattered at the Tower of Babel. Because account of all of the descendants of Noah, depicted by name in chapter 10 of Genesis, provides 15 names for, let me get to the most important thing here. These figures became established as the 72 languages resulting from the confusion at Babel. 72 languages resulting from the confusion of Babel. So according to the story, God smashes the Tower of Babel, and then he makes them all have different languages. 72. The very important number 72. This lady here just announces that in the opening ceremony that has all kinds of depictions of the destruction of the Tower of Babel, you have this guy, either Baal or Moloch, in the same ceremony, being tamed. You also have, in the beginning of the ceremony, what happens is a star explodes. And all these shards and these what look like asteroids come to Earth, and the people get them. What's taking place on the 11th and 12th of December? An asteroid is going to cover Betelgeuse. Cop28, which is happening right now, will complete on the 12th of December. Right there. It ends on the 12th of December, the same day that Betelgeuse will be obstructed, or the asteroid goes over Betelgeuse. 72 languages scattered from the destruction of Babel. 72 participants of the Commonwealth from the Games last year. Biblical references to the number 72. 72 nations listed in Genesis. 72 elders in the book of Exodus. 72 names of God in the Kabbalah. Okay, where else do we see the number 72? Right here. This is called the apotheosis. Hopefully I'm not butchering that word. The apotheosis. And that means the exaltation to divine rank or stature. Basically to become deified. And this is called the apotheosis of Washington in the ceiling of the Capitol Rotunda inside the U.S. Capitol. And my wife and I literally just watched a video about this last night. The significance is there are 72 stars or 72 pentagrams that create this portal into this other world where George Washington is being deified or exalted into a divine status. Here, 72, 72 pentagrams, creating this portal. The Commonwealth Games from last year, they're talking about 72. Here is the main guy. Oops. Let me get through this. Here's the main guy. This guy right here. Prince at the time, king now. He's the main guy. He is the main guy here as well. For this, he's the main guy. Numero uno, top of the pops. His conference is going to end on the 12th of July. The same day this is going to happen. Going back to here. Betelgeuse. And Mr. Johnny Eyeballs over here. And Lil is all happening now. What are the, now when Dustin gave me this target, and I confirmed with him in September, I didn't know this, he didn't know this. He did not know that this was taking place now. In fact, what he confirmed, he did not know this was happening now. What he confirmed was that he gave me this target over 3 years ago. The same target. And I was not happy with the remote viewing, so I abandoned the project because I felt that I was off. And I'm going to have to go back and look at those now. So 3+ years later, he gives me the target again. And the timing of it now was correct with this event taking place in the next couple of days. Its connection to this, its connection to this guy here, its connection to this guy here. I'm going to go ahead and say that Charles is the king of Babylon, king of the new Babylon. And I feel pretty confident in saying that. He puts all the imagery into it that needs to be there, in my opinion. I feel confident saying that Charles sees himself as the king of the new Babylon. And he showed it all through his big magical ceremony here. Okay, there's more. There's more to come with this. And fascinating, man. I'm just really fascinated by this one. There's more to come.